Hello, everybody. I don't know what that intro was. I've lost it at this point. Doing nightly shows, I can't come up with something genuine and interesting every single time. So you're just gonna have to deal with me slowly unmuting our mics and then just yelling something. But yeah, welcome back to Built from Day One. uh, yes, and don't forget to spend your layman dollars, which we had on Twitch, but we don't have here anymore. Now it's ant coins. But anyways, welcome back. Timberwolves lose. KD game winner though, right? Super exciting. Um, no, this was a good. I mean, I will say that this is. I don't know how good Brooklyn played today. It's hard to judge how good they played. I mean, obviously KD came to play. Oh, you can't hear. Oh, we can't hear you. I must have. Wait, I don't know how that just happened. Talk again.
Hello.
Yes, they can hear you now. Sorry about that. We're off to a rocky start, but
Eh.
nothing I said changes. So,
Yeah.
um,
Nothing you said changed the outcome of the game.
this is true.
And we're not gonna repeat what we said. We said some great fucking things at the
Oh
start.
man, Ashwin
Like a
just
killer
gave.
intro. You just nailed the intro.
Yeah, Ashwin just gave so much insight that you guys just missed.
Yeah.
We might as well just end the show. But, yeah, like the Nets may not have played their full potential tonight. But I think the Timberwolves defense did come to play tonight. It's just disappointing to lose a game like this where you have a chance. When you're
Oh yeah.
given a chance from a team like the Nets, and you're close and your defense is there, it just feels like a game that you should win. I still will say I'm not overly disappointed tonight. I mean, yeah, Towns wasn't in the game. We had to deal with, not deal with. I mean, Nas started the game off with like 8 points or 10 points.
Yeah.
So it was, it's fun to have Nas be out there and have some Nathan Knight minutes, but we're also having heavy Bomaro minutes and heavy Nathan Knight minutes out of nowhere, which is exciting. But at the same time, we're a team trying to stay 500, and those are things that you can throw in when all your players are healthy and you're up by 20. But we're using them in crucial situations, given humongous props to Leo. Leo's defense tonight was kind of insane because he was guarding KD a lot,
And James
which
Harden a lot.
and James Harden a lot. And honestly, for KD and James Harden, keeping them pretty under wraps for the most part. But yeah, before going into players too specifically, overall, I'm not super disappointed. I'd say I'm like out of 10, my happiness level is like a 6. So I'm not like super mad, but I'm definitely looking forward to winning another game at some point.
And my friend, you got to get some sun and some vitamin D and get those bees in you, man.
Yeah, I
Put
just
some
sit.
bees in that bitch.
I literally sit here all day, so that's never
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. I mean, don't you take Teddy out or
Yes,
Theo out?
I
And the answer is
do,
no, right? Oh.
but
You got a little play. You got a little mat in your living room for them.
no, I don't. But I do take him out, but it's after the sun is set. Such a
Gotcha.
sad life.
That's what it is. Yeah, the game flow was interesting. I really couldn't be more impressed with how Vando and
Mm-hmm.
Naz Reid kind of outshined their roles in the beginning of the game.
Yep.
It was very, very impressive. No one else really came to show up at all in that first half. It felt like the third quarter we had a little ant explosion there. 0 points for most of the game, and then he had this like ant explosion there, and then Ant trying to take over the game late in the game. But Ant had one of his worst games of the season, bar none for me. And the other guy who we should be heavily relying on was D'Lo. And well, D'Lo had a really overall great performance. He didn't have the wherewithal to just take over the game this time. Usually we want to trust in that. And I think late game situations, we shouldn't be improvising versus a team where we made 1,000 mistakes versus,
Mm-hmm.
and we shouldn't be like switching up who gets the shot. It's D'Lo and Ant. It should always be D'Lo and Ant with maybe a splash of Nas, and we had Beasley take 10 shots.
Yeah.
And I think in any normal circumstance, Beasley's never taking a fucking shot unless it's a second chance opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We're not running plays for Beasley, but fucking ATOs running plays for Beasley. And it kind of pissed me off. I kind of want to take the coaching staff down a notch here for this game. And this was so within reach, as you said, so winnable.
Mm-hmm.
They were just literally playing with us, toying with us. And we were like, let's play too. Let's like not take over this game the way that we should.
Yeah,
we played. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I tweeted out at a point, our defense is keeping us in this game, but there has to be a point in which Ant or D'Lo start to take over. Like they have to. They're playing good defense. D'Lo more so than Ant, honestly. For sure. That's great, but we can't rely on only our defense because we have a lot of players that aren't necessarily great scorers, like Taurean Prince. You could say Naz Reid, although Naz Reid tonight was really good. You have Vanderbilt, who's not a scorer, but got a couple lobs tonight, which I am all for. Balmaro's not really a scorer. Beasley is a scorer, but he hasn't been shooting well over the last few games. So you absolutely had to have D'Lo and Ant go off, and they didn't. And we still kept it super close, which is a testament to our defense. But, if Malik Beasley's not going to go off, and if he took 19 shots tonight and only made 6 of them. So you absolutely need more from one of those 3 offensive players, and you just didn't really have it. They have decent numbers tonight, but it's kind of one of those, like, empty stat kind of a deals, scoring-wise anyways, just because it's like the points came, and sure, D'Lo made some, like, kind of clutch buckets at moments, but not when we needed him most. So, but yes, and Gerald brings up a humongous point. Let's not forget the classic Wolves move: never guard the guy who's making threes, Patty Mills. And we have I don't think we've ever guarded Patty Mills in the entire franchise of our team ever.
His entire time here, even in Australia, we're just like, let's just not even throw anyone on.
We were like, nope, nobody.
Nobody. Well, I will disagree heavily with Dave Ben saying, wow, what a game. The pace was incredible. This was one of the slowest, uninteresting games of all time for me. I had so little enthusiasm for most of the game, and I was just waiting for the loss. It just felt like no one really wanted to take it over. And maybe, Ant is going through some sick, some playing while sick. Vando too, who knows what's going on, and maybe they're kind of over the cusp of it all.
That's true.
And going downhill from that. But there were 3 things that I witnessed that are just like main takeaways. 1, Cat representing New York by wearing a hoodie, a Jay-Z hoodie. KD's bald spot getting more and more pronounced as the game.
Speaking to me throughout the game. It was insane.
I couldn't look at the game. I was just like, bald spot.
Yes.
As a bald, I can, Then the third one is Malik Beasley. When he makes shots, he puts his finger to the bench, like the away bench or the opposing bench, and like a pistol in his gun, he goes pop pop.
Is that what he did? I thought he was doing the Jamal Murray at some point, and I was like, oh geez, that's kind of weird. But if it's a pistol, that's somehow worse. It's
somehow worse because of off court events. I don't know. And he took a ton of fucking shots in the fourth quarter. In fact, 10 too many. I think he took 7 shots in the fourth quarter, and well, I wanted none of those to, be taking place. But anyways, he was one of the 3 or 4 people going in the second half, so I guess that made some sense to have him take shots. I just hated all of that. You know who I got to give major props to? Nathan Knight. You already talked about Balmaro, but like Nathan Knight, the people are just like kind of playing outside of their role. Like Naz Reid had to like produce like Cat tonight, right? In addition to having Nathan Knight produce like Naz. And it was like they came and they were ready and they were formidable. Like oftentimes the bench players are there to replace and supplant and kind of spell minutes for the starters. So we can't wait till the starters come back in. But like they had to produce like starters, and like they kind of did, and it was kind of nice to see.
Yeah.
Loss.
I am all for Nathan Knight minutes. Even with a healthy Cat, I think it would not be a bad thing to throw him in there, just because like we've had some questionable games from Jaden where like size seems to be an issue, where he is sure tall enough and long enough, but he's also like literally half the size of the people that he's guarding. And to have a Nathan Knight, not to say that Nathan Knight is some defensive like insane person, but he's a body. He's a bigger body. Also on offense, he can really bully people. And he got kind of the bad end of a call against James Harden, where he just was getting the offensive rebound and going back up strong.
Harden flops.
Yeah, he just flops. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was just a terrible flop. I felt bad for him because that was like an effort play that he got penalized for. So
totally. And he's bigger and stronger, and he's penalized for being bigger and stronger, aka Julius Randle.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Yeah. Another big takeaway for this game is how different our offense looks. Like, it is inept without Cat out there for sure, but how different our offense looks in the pick and roll.
Yeah.
With Naz Reid, Jared Vanderbilt, Nathan Knight. They roll.
They understand how to roll. Exactly.
They know how to roll. And D'Lo knows exactly where to pass. Like, sometimes it was a little too aggressive or a little too ambitious.
Yeah.
But he's passing and he's getting his double-double. And it was when the ball is moving, our offense is flowing. When the ball's not moving, when it's just ISO, it becomes like, what the Houston Rockets were, with the Brooklyn Nets type offenses tend to be sometimes, or like Jason Tatum on the Celtics, just like ball watching while they ISO. And when we pass the ball, things move, and then they keep defensive honest, and then Ant can pass, drive the paint and get a dunk, and then D'Lo can throw some ice in his veins and make a three. It's because of the ISOs, and they were so predictable that we're passing and making plays from like Beasley. Like, fuck that noise. Drop some plays to move the ball. Like, we have to. And the pick and rolls were some of the best that we've seen all season. The Vando dunks, the Vando oops, fuck yeah. The Nas dunks, the Nas pick and roll, fuck yeah. We want more of that, because that really just helps the others produce on the other end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally, Jacob. Moral victories suck. This is not a moral victory. This was a absolute loss. We were so bad at the game. We gave the ball away, just like Brooklyn was giving the ball back to us. But this was a winnable game when Nets handed us what was ruined once again with late game offense and lack of heroics also, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Even though the title says KD game winner, I mean, other than a couple shots that KD hit in the fourth, there was really not much going on for either team. And it's frustrating as a Wolves fan. I mean, I'm not saying this is a moral victory, because it's not. Like, this is a game that we should have won. But it's a good sign that our defense is holding up against one of the best teams in the East, which the East is probably the stronger conference right now. I don't know. I like to see that. Not that I'm saying this is I don't necessarily quantify this as a good loss, but at the same time, I don't view it as a bad loss. I'm just frustrated that, we didn't capitalize, just like we've been saying. So, but yeah, and 15 of those turnovers, Ant had like 8 or 9 of them.
Oh yeah,
so,
probably.
Pretty bad. But speaking of individual stats, would you like to jump into the tier list?
Let's snap into it.
Let's snap into it. I like it.
Let's jump into the tier list with... did we get 12 threes tonight?
We did, and that's how we got the free tickets. So I tweeted out the free link, the tickets to free the link to free tickets, and the free tickets are to the Cavs game with Ricky Rubio and Kevin Love. So you'll want to check it out. It's all Upper Deck, but the
second place Cleveland Cavaliers.
I know it's going to be an exciting game. Honestly, kind of scary for us, because they may beat us. They may beat us very handily.
Right.
All right.
There's sixth place, but they are 13 and fucking 10.
Okay, good.
So let's get into the tier list really quick. Brooklyn was playing with us all night long. They had very little offensive flow. They had Patty Mills just basically carrying them with a splash of Marcus Aldridge and DeAndre Bembry, just getting what they want on offensive glass. And I think James Johnson is a huge boon and boost for them on the bench. But KD and Harden weren't really anywhere to be found in this game. Harden had 4 or 5 fouls early, and KD was just kind of hanging around, waiting for his moment in the late third and early fourth to take over. This was such a winnable game, and our coaching staff should have realized this, just how they were playing and how relaxed they were versus us. We should have taken advantage, and I just thought that we didn't respond to any of the mishaps that they did. We didn't respond.
Yep. I agree. I think there was a couple in the first and second quarter. We kept it close. And I mean, we had a lead in the first quarter, a significant lead, but that was a lead that should never have gone away. And there were just frustrating moments where we let it go. We like starting the second quarter, they had like an 8-0 run against us, and it's like you can't let that happen. Ending the first half too, we were up by 4. We take Vando out immediately. They go up immediately.
I know.
And it's like, even though the crowd didn't get too into it, it's like, well, the players believe now. Not that they need to believe. I mean, they've got like stars on their team, but yeah. And as Dave Bedden said, the Nets are coming hard tonight. But anyways, so
oh my gosh,
we only played 9 players tonight, so we'll go quickly through the bench players. However, I think I we'll go over them individually because I don't think there's too much lumping we can do together. But we'll start with Nathan Knight. So exciting night for Nathan Knight. He only had 3 points, but he had 5 rebounds. You ready to 3-2-1 it?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Won it. B.
Yep.
Yay. Not much else to really say other than it was a B performance. I think he could have had an A performance easily if he had more time out there. But he couldn't really get in any rhythm the way that he was being played. He was played for like 4-minute, 5-minute spurts. That's it. Like, how much can you really get into a rhythm, and how much can you really impact winning when you're out there for small spurts? But I am very, very happy that we had him out there, and we got to see him in the midst of like an actual game versus dead minutes, the waste garbage time. And I think he's one of our better bigs in NBA in our franchise history of like being that like third stringer just coming in after injury, like, and just filling in. But he's like more than filling in, he's like dominating. And I think the fact that he got to the line a couple times, the 3 offensive rebounds, he can be a big weapon for us, and he's big. Like, I really like that he is big and he can play his role and not like just putts around out there.
Yeah, just like you said, he's like a legit third stringer, and that sounds kind of weird to say, but like you said, I mean, like, the Timberwolves have not really had like a deep team ever, and this is probably one of the deeper teams that we've ever had. So it's just exciting to see us take him off the bench and start using him, because this is a game where I think he was needed, and I think he played his role and some. So that's why he's a B tonight. All right, next up. This one will probably go pretty quick. Josh Okogie had 0 points, missed 2 free throws, 3 rebounds, and he missed a 3. Are you ready?
That 3. Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Here comes 1.
F. Oh, I meant Wancho. Why did I say that?
Wancho.
Actually, I disagree. I don't mean Wancho. I meant it should be D. I changed my mind. It should be D, because Josh was out there playing some defense. I don't think it was like the defense that we need from him, but he's also guarding some of the best players. It's just, I think I'm just so accustomed to seeing Vando defense and some of the other players, even like D'Lo at times, where I'm like, oh, this defense is so good. And Josh is good defensively, but like there's times when he makes mistakes or just like sags off of players just too much. And it's frustrating to watch. So still, I think D is fair though.
Definitely. To quote Dave Benz, in an indirect, or to use Dave Ben's quote, Josh Okogie usually comes to play. He usually comes, and he didn't come. I don't know, man. This is so bad. This is so dumb. I'm sorry. I have nothing. I would rather have had all of his minutes go to Taurean Prince tonight, because Taurean Prince, when we will get to later, had quite a showing.
Yeah.
And he's able to stand tall against KD. And I think Josh Okogie's minutes were just to kind of be chaos, and he didn't really do anything in either direction. So what was his role tonight? I'm not sure. Like, when Jaden McDaniels comes back, Josh Okogie, unfortunately, is not going to have any minutes, right? He's not going to have that time. So like, this is his time to really take advantage of literary opportunity.
That's true.
Don't like revel in the minutes not being played. Like, literally take over the game, and you can. Like, I was really hoping for a block on James Harden just to like get that. Like,
I know
the memento.
There was one possession where they were in the same spot on the court, and I was like, "Do it, Josh, do it," and he didn't. So, yeah. No. Hey, Jelson, you got the free tickets. I'll see you at the game. But Yeah, so D tier, and I think you bring up a fantastic point, is that you're right. When Jaden comes back, he's not going to see these minutes. So he needs to be out there, one, converting on his 2 shot attempts a game, at least one of them.
At least one of them.
And hitting at least a free throw.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, good defense at times, but we need more from you, and you need to be showing out, and you're just not. So, disappointing. Anyways, enough Okogie. We're on to Bolmaro, who had almost 25 minutes tonight. Bolmaro, he had 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, only took 3 shots, but his defense was incredible, and he was a team high plus 19.
Yeah.
Insane. Are you ready? Yes,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
You count down.
All right, in 5, 1, D.
Hey, what?
Don't let me do things I'm not uncomfortable with. I'm Josh Okogie here. I'm not a starter.
I think it was an A tier night, or I mean, I almost want to say A1 just because of how unexpected his game was. But I feel like we probably need a little bit more offensive production if we're gonna give him A1. Like, he needs to be like we need to have our jaws on the floor, because in the fourth quarter he's like hitting shots over KD or something. So I'll say A for tonight.
Nice. I fucked up. I had Josh Okogie's numbers highlighted, so I was like D. I'm like, wait, what? So Leandro Bolmaro, 25 minutes plus 19. You already said that. I'm just realizing what you said now.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get an A for me, just in general, we saw him in the G League. We saw him overseas. Make your shots. Take shots. Be aggressive. You were aggressive to a point. You made others. You gave others you distributed the ball pretty well, and your defense was there. I loved it. But it can't be an A unless you're like in those categories for production, because we need something happening that wasn't happening on the court with D'Lo and Ant. So it had to be from someone, and I wish it was from you, Leo. So I'm giving you a B. But this is great, and B is awesome anyways.
Yeah, we need more input from the chat to make this decision, because I'm pretty set in my A, because I think his defense tonight was, from what I expect out of Leo, just like insanely good. I'm not saying that he was a top defender tonight, but I'm saying that the defense that I expect from Leo is like what you would have expected from D'Lo coming into the season, or worse. And I thought tonight he played really good on-ball defense, and I think there were times offensively he scares me because he's really moving around and he's trying to do his behind the back, not passes, but just dribbling, which weirdly does not get any defenders. I mean, not weirdly, it kind of makes sense, but it's slow and fast at the same time. But it looks like, okay, we've got...
I could be persuaded to give him an A. The main reason why I remember getting offensive rebounds and second chance attempts were pretty key, but not necessarily they didn't convert, but it was awesome to see him attacking in that moment. I wish he got more burn with D'Lo. I think he was there to kind of spell minutes for D'Lo and Ant, but I wish he had more time with D'Lo, because I think they could kind of run off each other pretty well. And just in general, 1 for 3 is not going to cut it for me. I want him to, in a moment where we need more people taking shots, I don't want Beasley taking 19 shots.
It's funny to me that you don't want Beasley taking 19 shots. Is it just because he's been so cold this season, or is it that you just don't believe in Beasley?
I don't believe in Beasley this year unless he gives us a string of games. He's given us quarters of games and 1 game. And we haven't seen much from Leo to begin with, but in a game where he was given a lot more time and moments to kind of improvise his role, I wish he took over and was a little bit more aggressive, because what they were doing was sagging off of him completely.
That's true.
They would put James Harden on him. They would put KD on him. So take them and burn some gas from them.
Yeah. No, I think so.
Well, yeah, and Gerald Becker said, "Oh man, if we actually had people on the team who would cut to the rim with Leo and D'Lo, and they were playing at the same time, it would be fantastic to watch. That would be fantastic."
Something frustrating to me is that there's these players that we have out there, Vanderbilt, who does cut sometimes, but even like Ant like does not cut very much. He's always faking like he's about to cut, and then he just comes back out to like the 3-point line and just does his dribbling moves that he just loves to do all the time, which leads to absolutely nothing 90% of the time.
I have to interrupt you and say, because I always interrupt you, but I have to definitely interrupt you right now.
Yes.
And say that you have to put Cat and Glenn Taylor tier. Injuries by self-infliction should be Glenn Taylor tier. And also Jaden McDaniels is not in the DNP. And I protest.
Oh, he's not. That's right. Jaden.
Come here, Jaden. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Oh, and Jalen.
And Culver.
Oh.
But
there he is. Yeah. Look at that smile. That's why we draft. That's why we traded for you.
Yeah, the Wolves lost the trade. Apparently, the Goat Culver or whatever, Culver Goat, who scored. Culver actually got some minutes in that game that he beat. Well, he didn't beat them. But,
like 75 or
but
whatever?
Yeah, he got a lot of minutes. He had like 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists or something. But,
oh, dude, there he is. There it is.
Yeah, so we lost.
Career totals right there.
But anyways, I guess we have to put what's his face someplace. Leo. I guess maybe since we lost, B+. I can come down to a B because we lost, and I was kind of on the fence.
And I could go up to an A. I'm on the fence now.
Well, I think if we're on the fence in between the two, we lost, so we go down. There's the ruling. Final.
But he was one of our better players tonight.
He definitely was one of our better players for sure.
On to the starters.
Not yet. Malik Beasley.
Oh, sorry.
Who was I thought he was our leading scorer. Almost. We had a lot of players that had almost around 20. Anyways, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 6 of 19 shooting, 4 of 14 from 3. And he had 4 personal fouls, but whatever, I guess. All right. Are you ready to 3, 2, 1?
I'm ready to 3, 2, 1. Are you ready to 3, 2, 1?
I think we're going to be a little different on this one, but not a lot different.
All right.
3, 2, 1. D. Oh, what?
D?
That is not what I expected.
Oh man, I heard a little boop in your mouth. I was like, "Are you really going with a B?" And I was like, "Let me just go down to C." I was gonna go to a D, and then all right. Well, anyways, we're not doing this in sync. We're off.
We're trying to judge each other too much. We got to have the more genuine reactions. I think D, just because even though he did score and he did make some good threes and good shots tonight, I still think, and he's by far one of the most active players on offense for us because we are running plays for him, which in difference to you, I am okay with running plays for Beasley. I obviously think that he's going to need to convert at some point. And as I say all the time, I still believe in Beasley this year. I just think it's going to come very late for Beasley. But I just kind of believe in Beasley's 3-point shot, even though he missed 10 of his 14 shots tonight.
He believed in it.
He certainly believes in it, which I love. You know, that's good. You want to have your players believe. And I think he's has good morale out there, even though he's shooting so poorly, which I think is also important. That shows me a sign that he will be better later, maybe. But I just think, if you're going to take 19 shots, you can't miss 13 of them.
For everything that you said, I kind of been saying yes, and that's why he's C, because he shot poorly, but he took shots. He was aggressive when we needed someone to be aggressive. He played in his role, the role that we're asking him to play, especially when we're down our big. And when someone is called upon to take the shot, he's shot ready. And he's willingly wanting to take the shot. I love this aggressive Beasley, but when he knows his shot isn't going in, I want him to take the next step and pass it back and drive kick and, relocate and get that 3 in a better position than when he was. So that didn't happen, but at the same time, whatever, right? Like we saw Beasley chuck a bunch of times tonight and we knew that half of them weren't going in, right? So we're not expecting 20 points from Beasley on a nightly basis, so I guess he played better than his, typical possession or typical production. But
I will say,
if you don't think your shots going in, I don't want you to be taking those shots.
And I think he thinks they're going in. But the one thing I will say about him is that I love when he shoots it in rhythm, when there is a play for him, and he the play that just played on the screen right now where he's like dribbling and pulling up against James Harden. Not that he's like some crazy defender. But like that's not a Beasley play.
That's not Beasley.
Yeah, like
No.
what are we doing? And then there was a moment also where
What are we talking about?
Yeah, what are we talking about? That's the new catchphrase. I gotta have like a big thing that show like a button that I press that has like a comic strip thing come up. But you know, he also had a play like that where he just pulled up from 3. He like was like, oh no, maybe I should pass it, and then he's like, never mind, I'll just take it. And it's like, this is not your play, and what are we talking about? You know, it's just that's not what I want from Beasley. I want the in rhythm, like Klay Thompson-esque run plays for him, where it's like he's coming off a screen, taking a shot super quick, because I think he can convert, not obviously to the level of Klay Thompson, but I think that he can be a mini version of that. So that's what I want to see. I don't want to see him dribbling into a pull-up jumper. I don't like that. So but yeah, so have you come down from a C, or are you still?
I'm at a C.
You're at a C?
I remember he blocked Kevin Durant's dunk, and that's a C worthy
Did
play
not.
in itself. Like it's an A worthy play in itself.
He actually did not. Durant just missed it. He didn't even touch it. They showed a replay of it. He didn't touch the ball or KD.
Oh, because I was like, that's a fucking foul. They're just gonna call it, and I was like mad about it. I'm like, oh, you got away with murder there.
That's what I thought too. And then they showed the replay from above, and Beasley doesn't touch it. Durant just hits it off the other side of the rim, and it bounces right back.
I don't know who's supposed to be guarding Patty Mills in this game, but I feel like it's supposed to be Beasley.
Maybe
just based on like size of matchups, and maybe he got switched on to other players, but why was Patty Mills open all game? I want to know kind of the and maybe even rewatch. I might not rewatch this game, but like on rewatch, like who was supposed to be guarding Patty Mills on a lot of those plays, right? So that was the big difference maker in this game. And if Beasley's out there, he's doing his best out there, but his best is probably not this year's Wolves best, right? Like we're in a different like stratosphere of defense on our team this year, and I don't know if he's in that same category right now.
Yeah, I'll come up to a C, just because you're right. He did have a lot of points tonight, and we needed him to take shots tonight because Towns is out.
I'm shaking a lot. I'm sorry,
but yeah. So I agree. And
the first C of the evening.
First C, yes, that's true. And before we get to the starters, I actually don't even have to tell you guys to like the stream today, because I looked and all of you had done it before I even said.
Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Taking notes?
We had more likes than viewers at a point. So I don't know who's doing it, but I appreciate it. And if you're
log
new here,
on to all of your accounts,
yes,
come back in.
I mean,
it
was
for the algorithm.
Before I even got onto all 12 of my burners. No, I'm just kidding. There's only 3. But
speaking of that, I was hilarious. Like Jim Peterson was like, and KD's Instagram was Easy Money Snipe.
I know,
right?
Yeah,
right,
like,
Benz? That's one of his accounts.
Yeah. They had some weird combos tonight, but
yeah,
that's interesting. They were talking about pickleball. Yeah, exactly. It's insane. But Dave Benz is just a pickleball savant. He just knows it all.
And with 40 seconds left, he's like, and remember what else we talked about?
Yeah.
What do you take? A 3 or a 2?
Yeah, he loves that conversation.
Yeah.
All right, on to the starters. We will start
the starties
with Taurean Prince, who only played 20 minutes tonight, but he had 11 points and no rebounds, no assists, no steals, and a block. Interesting. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
I am also ready, and I think we're going to be the same.
I think so too.
3, 2, 1, B.
Hey!
Oh, okay.
I think he was the maybe the second best player of the night tonight. And I would say A because we lost, so we could be easily persuaded to a B. But he made critical shots. He took action and aggression. And I think he read the defense really well. And he was in a really good stance all night. He took a charge. He had that block, I believe. And a really solid game. Yeah, he didn't rebound, assist, or steal, but I don't think he's asked to do any of that. He's just asked to be kind of just like a menace, and really just kind of press on a Harden or a KD when asked to. And I wished we had more minutes from Prince for the first time this season for me.
I think I agree. And honestly, my shock in the stats of him having 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, and 1 block is more shocking just because I felt like he had a big impact on the game. And to see zeros in those kind of more effort level stats was just a little surprising to me just because of how much of an impact I did feel like he had in his minutes tonight. So I completely agree with you. I wish there would have been more Prince moments tonight, which is weird to say.
In a season lacking of.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And so yeah, it's good to see. He had a dunk that I didn't think was particularly interesting, but the entire arena oohed and awed, and I was like, wow, okay, it must be a weird angle because that didn't look like anything other than a regular dunk to me. And they really liked it though. But I thought it was a good game from him. I didn't necessarily think it was like some insanely great game. But I think from Prince, I mean, I think defensively, you're right. He was there to cause havoc against those big stars, which he did along with Vando and even D'Lo. Those three were good. I'd be curious to see their numbers on the court tonight combine like positive and negative. I don't know how to look into that stuff, but I feel like those three were probably, and then maybe Nas too, just off of offensive production at times. But yeah, I thought it was a really good game, and you might be able to persuade me up to an A.
No, you persuaded me down to a B. Let's go.
Cool. Who's next?
Yeah, let's go. Vando.
Vando, oh my sweet darling. Vando had 10 points.
10 points.
15 rebounds. God dang it. 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block.
Good. Too fast for me.
And he was 5 of 8 dunking. But also had 4 fouls. Some of them were kind of questionable, but I think they were probably fouls. I think he also got away with some fouls against Kevin Durant where he was hitting their elbows and they weren't calling it for some reason. But again,
they'll say gender neutral here. Yeah.
Great game. Oh yeah, I forgot. What was I gonna say? 3-2-1 it?
Oh yeah, sorry, I caught you up. Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Let's go with a B.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, we are fucked up.
We're out of sync.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's an A just because I think it's just the Vanderbilt effect. He leaves, like I was saying earlier, he leaves with like a couple minutes left to go in the first half. They immediately go back. The beginning of the second quarter, he was in the first, I think the entire first quarter, we're up by 10, 11 or whatever it was.
We got to 11, yep.
And then he goes out in the beginning of the second quarter. They go on an 8-0 run. And, it's just so crucial to have Vando on the court, which is sad because it's like we need to have multiple of those kind of people where it's like they're on the court and it's just is a complete game changer. And Vando is by far our biggest game changer, even over Ant, D'Lo, and Towns on good nights. It's like he just comes in and he gets the rebounds, he gets the second chance points, or just he doesn't get the points, but like he gets the points for others and gives us opportunities. So I just think him being out there is just insanely crucial. 6 of his 15 rebounds were offensive tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an experiment anymore, and I think teams have to game plan for him. It's his position. It's like it's his defensive scheme almost. He's like this freelancer. He's picking up the guy who's the most lethal. He's picking up Kevin Durant whenever Kevin Durant's out there, and he's going toe to toe for him, keeping him neutralized as best as he can. It's awesome until KD just takes over as he does and as they do, right? Mm-hmm. I put a fucking smile on my face to see those oops to Vando tonight, man.
Yes.
We have to give it back. We have to pay it forward to the guy who's literally doing it all out there for us.
Yeah.
Just so he can chuck some more, right? Give him a oop a game, and it just really kind of impacts winning. It's a dunk. It's a motivator. It's a pressure point to say, hey, you have to watch for this guy because we're just going to oop it to him again, as opposed to sagging off of Okogie for a chunking of a 3, right? So more of this. And if this was a result of Cat not being out there, thank you to show this to us, because we can get this embedded into our offense with Cat. But because we haven't seen it much this season, I just want to see this more. Is all I'm trying to say. And Vando had an impeccable game, but it came out of the loss. And I don't think he was the reason why we lost. He's one of the two players that were, like, two or three players that were positive tonight. And so yeah, I'm actually persuaded to an A.
I agree. I was not persuaded to a B, so I just think Vando's so crucial, and like I guess you could argue that we're coming to the point where we maybe expect this out of Vando, but it's like, I mean, the play that he brings that you I can't stop saying it. But it's like you can't, like you said, no Vando, no win. You know, that's what Gerald Becker said in chat. You know, if we don't have Vando in these games, we are not a 500. I mean, we're not a 500 team, I guess, but you know, we're not even close to 500, and I don't think we make that 5-game winning streak. I don't think any of that stuff happens without Vando. This is just about tonight, but tonight I don't think we have anywhere near a chance without Vando's defense and offense and rebounding. And to go off of the points that you said, if Vando can suddenly be a lob threat, that eliminates the Josh Okogie problem, like you said, because Josh can't catch a lob. I mean, he can, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
It wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, it would not be pretty. But apparently the Brooklyn crowd would go crazy because they just love any dunk. But no, I like, if we have him as an offensive lob threat, and we have Towns back, or I mean Nas tonight played really good in the absence of Carl, and we'll get to that in a second. But you know, I loved seeing it tonight. So
I love you, Jared Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Also, I'm pretty sure a courtside fan fell in love with Jared Vanderbilt tonight. Jared Vanderbilt fell into the lap of some chick, and she was just like all over it.
Yeah, and they put the camera on her for
right on her. Yeah.
I was like, what? I didn't even realize what happened until after, and I was like, oh, that must have been who Vando fell on, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, cool. We're an A for Vando. You can't spell Vanderbilt without an A.
You can't. That is true.
Yeah, that's just facts. That's just math.
That is a big fact.
That's just statistics. I can't even say the word. That's how true it is.
I thought you were trying to say that like that. Okay. Who do we want to do next out of Naz Reid, Anthony Edwards, or D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah, let's go Ant.
Ant. All right. Ant had the most minutes, 19 points, 2 rebounds only, 4 assists. Weird stat, before we get into the grade, he had 3 steals tonight, again, which he seemingly has all the time.
Yeah.
Dave Ben said that's his season high. He has not had more than 3 steals. Yeah. But I found it interesting that Dave Ben said that, because I've seen Ant and said Ant has had 3 steals on this show. I swear, like multiple 5 times. Yeah, it's like, it's constant. So that's kind of crazy that we got to break through and get that 4th steal game somehow. That could have been the win.
We'll do it together.
We will do it together. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'll see if I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm ready. 3, 2, 1, D. Yeah.
Ooh, I was almost going to say D, and I was like, am I just putting a letter for letter's sake on the fact that Anthony Edwards, in my mind, played a C game, but with 8 turnovers, could have easily been an F tier, Wancho tier, literally not playing at all to the capabilities he's able to, but he's still a threat whenever he's out there, and they have to respond to him. He got 19 points in 2 chunks, literally 2 chunks of the game.
Yeah.
And that's all he did. And like, kind of miserable, forgettable type of experience, results from him tonight. But 3 steals, very solid defense on James Harden, like pretty much all game long.
Yep.
And his defense is leading into offense. His defense is leading into small amounts of transitions that we get to. And those moments are not expected. Those steals on Harden are not expected. Mm-hmm. That strip, like a safety like strip from, or steal from like KD or something, is not expected. And so despite his like woes from shooting, his lack of aggression in the first half, and potentially damning turnovers where the game was within reach, if not a game we could just completely blow out of the water, it was his results. He was one of the main reasons why we couldn't blow this team out, because he had 8 turnovers. Mm-hmm. I still feel like it was a kind of a solid game from him overall. And
so what did you say?
We could take these kind of games. I said C.
You said C. Okay.
Oh, it's been that long since I said my grade. Damn,
no, when you said it, I thought you said B for a second, and I was like, wait a second, were we that far off? I thought we said the same letter. Well, sorry to interrupt you, but I I said D, only because this is a game where Ant even kind of said it himself before the game. Like when Towns was going to be out, he's like, "This is my time to step up,"
Oh, he
and
said that.
he said that. So I was kind of expecting a bigger game from him. Given on my fantasy tonight, I chose the under for Ant's points on 23.5, because
Nailing it.
I just don't have faith in him right now that he can really take over. And that's not to say that I don't believe in Anthony Edwards. I think there's a lot of people out on Twitter right now. I don't know if it's like Carl stands or if it's D'Lo stands or what, but the stands are all in this weird war that literally does not matter at all, where they are trying to like prove that Ant is not the leader of the team. And it's like, he's 20. Like,
Yeah.
he has the reason we're strict and like nitpicky about Towns and even D'Lo at times is because they've been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years, you know? So they've had time to do things. So yeah, if they do stuff wrong, we're going to nitpick. Ant has been in the league for a year and a couple months, and he is literally 20 years old. So I don't know where all this weird hate is coming from Ant, if it's just a retaliation to us, not us, but like people calling out Towns. It's driving me insane. But yes, this was I would say this is a bad game from Ant, and unfortunately showing a little bit of a trend this season that, you know, he can only show up for spurts, like you said. Those spurts though are breathtaking and nerve-wracking for the defender, because
Totally.
the like the beginning of the game, they see Ant kind of just like nonchalant Wigginsing it up, where he's just kind of like posting up in the corner, not really doing much. Like his defense obviously is good pretty much all game, but you know, he has, when he gets his dunk, as I say that, he
We're
dunks in the
about to say
highlights.
it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He immediately then goes down. He gets a three on like the next position,
Very
and it's
next
like,
possession. Yep.
you know, it's right here. So this is the perfect timing. I did not cue this up; it just happened. But
So good.
but like those are the plays where Ant just does that. Just think third quarter in one of those Pelicans games where he took over and scored like 17 points in a row or something crazy like that. You know, those are the plays from Ant that you want. And you know, obviously you can't have that the whole game. No player does that the whole game. Not even like, I mean, I guess you could maybe argue like Michael Jordan or something like that. But like, other than that, like what other player does that where they just take over the whole game? Not KD tonight, not James Harden tonight. So they go through spurts. But it's the fact that his spurts right now are so far and few between. And we've had games now where they've been only one or two, and it's not enough to fully take over. But he definitely takes over those moments. So I still believe in Ant as the future leader of this team, and I think that Ant is going to be, I think he's going to be one of the scariest players to go up against in the league, especially if he can keep postering people, because he can poster, sure, and people might know of him for his dunks, but he is more than dunks. He can hit threes, and he can hit step back twos. He can drive and finish. You know, he's got all the ability, and he's a crazy defender. Like, if we can get him polished, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But right now, it's just spotty. So, and honestly, he's probably still overperforming what we should expect out of him at this point. But just going off of what I guess my expectations are for him, I was disappointed tonight. He had a couple really bad turnovers, and he had 8 turnovers tonight. So, pretty rough, which is over half the team's turnovers, and just 2 or 3 of them were absolutely mind-boggling, terrible turnovers that just killed us.
Well, some sensational spit from Cameron just now. That was awesome to hear. Just to think about like what's potentially down the road for us as a team with Ant is awesome. And he's growing pains. We get to see it, witness it, go through it with him. And that sucks at times when he has 8 turnover games, but we're going to probably have some more.
Yep.
And we're going to have to deal with it. And we're finally also dealing with injuries for the first time, or like major significant injuries for the first time. And how are we coping? Well, it was feeling like an auto loss, but it was within reach this whole game. And credit goes to the little team, but also Ant for those spurts that when we needed something, he decided to take it over. And so credit to him. My biggest issue in this game is that he didn't have production throughout the game.
Yep.
It was into legit spurts. That's it.
100%. That's my other catchphrase. Well, maybe you could convince me to a C. I'll come up to a C just because of defense, and probably what we should expect out of him. I have ridiculously high expectations for him, so I need to temper my expectations slightly, but still hope for the best. All right.
On to D'Lo. 21 points, 11 assists, 4 turnovers, which is maybe on the normal side for him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit over aggressive, but also 3 rebounds, 6 trips to the line, which is awesome. 3 of 10, which is not spectacular, but 6 for 22 is a little disgusting. So, I will say I am ready. I don't know if you are. Team low, minus 16.
Interesting.
It may be the most controversial grade that I might be saying.
Interesting. Okay. I guess.
And it doesn't rhyme with Q.
I am ready. I'm scared for this one.
All right.
Because I don't even know if I believe what I'm saying.
Right.
3,
2,
1, C.
B.
Ooh.
Okay. I like it. I could go with the C.
Okay.
The minus 16 hurts him, but that's a weird stat. It's a weird stat.
Mm-hmm.
Godfrey hates D'Lo, so whatever he says is fact for him. And I'm a big proponent of D'Lo. Despite what he has been for us throughout the season, what he has been all season long, unpredictably, unpronounced, without a doubt, one of our better defenders.
Yeah.
So you got to give him props because he was getting switched on to KD a lot in that game.
Yes.
And he was holding his own. I loved it. And Harden. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Only 3 fouls as the result. 21 points. And there was never a point where he took over the game. Like he was just taking all the shots. Like I never felt that. And maybe could be proven wrong. But in the moments where he did, there was a splash of Nas and Vando oops in there in between. The fact that he was able to give those oops to Nas and Vando is amazing because that's another dimension and ammunition for our offense that we desperately need something, right? We desperately need something other than ISO and high pick and roll.
Yeah.
So it was sensational to see some of that stuff coming out of him, and 11 assists they could have been 18. Honestly, they could have been. So he was doing really well as a kind of a general out there.
If Beasley hits his shots, he's got 18 assists.
Yeah, totally, legit, absolutely. And well, I can't harp on him other than the fact that his shooting woes were present and notable, but everything else was really solid for me.
I think I will say that looking at the stats, I did not realize he shot 6 of 22 watching the game. Maybe I am blinded by something right now. Maybe it's his defense that is surprising me, and it's making me think highly of his entire game. And maybe I'm still thinking about the 76ers game, but it did not feel like 6 of 22 shooting. And I agree. I'm going to come up to a B with you. I think, I understand that 22 points or 21 points on 22 shot attempts is not good. And he's being, so I'm reading Godfrey. He says he's going to be switched onto those guys at some point. Finch can't hide him all game. I completely disagree with you, Godfrey. D'Lo's defense was top tier, at least on our team tonight. It was.
I think he took 2 charges tonight too.
I think so. We had the first quarter was an abomination of basketball for both teams. Other than the end of the quarter where we started hitting a couple shots, the first 6 minutes were I can't be interested in this game anymore because we just had 2 over the back or backcourt violations simultaneously the same time. No time went off the clock because we went out of bounds and then we threw it back in. It was just terrible. But beginning of the game was terrible. But no, I think if you don't think D'Lo's playing good defense right now, you are not watching. And I think you're thinking of D'Lo of the past. I'm not specifically talking to you, Godfrey. I'm just talking in general. If you don't think D'Lo's playing good defense, rewatch the game because he's playing good defense as he turns it over on the screen.
And right there, that sucked.
But that wasn't defense. He's playing good defense, and maybe it's just better than we expect from D'Lo. But I do think that it is. I think it's he's surprisingly one of the better defenders on our team right now, and stats wise, it shows as well. He is one of the top on ball defenders this season in the NBA. So weird. And to some of that is luck. The Timberwolves have had a lot of opponents miss threes against us, and we've had a pretty weak schedule strengths wise. But this is just not what you see from D'Lo. I did like D'Lo's game tonight. 6-22 is really bad, and we definitely need more shots, especially on a night where you don't have Towns, where he's going to have his high efficiency shooting. You can't have two low efficiency stars that are supposed to make up for that, and then adding Beasley, who goes 6 of 19. So sure, that's more of a collective, but I do think that Russell's defense I think it made up for the lack of shot making, and it kept us in the game.
Well, I mean, yeah, Godfrey has a lot of points here, and so our B is for the game, and for the season overall, like maybe a C tier. I wish he would be more productive on the offensive end and more consistent. His lobs are very, very undersold as legit threats, and we want to utilize that weapon out of D'Lo, so it keeps everything else more honest. His defensive acuity is really high, but as Godfrey is pointing out, he might be also the guy who's getting switched on to the Bembry's and to the LaMarcus Aldridge's and the Patty Mills, who take those shots and make those shots. So he can't be anywhere on all over the court, and he's taken his positions in stride. But I feel like he's doing what he needs to be doing on the court at all times, with a few of the D'Lo mistakes that do happen. Mm-hmm. I think I would like to see this version of D'Lo more often than the other version of D'Lo, where he's a chucker, not making shots, not playing D, getting into foul trouble, not getting to the line, and just kind of being a turnstile on defense. I think there's a bigger picture here that D'Lo has recognized, and we're seeing kind of in spurts, but also in a different manifest than we're used to. Yeah.
And one good point that chat brings up is that I still don't, I guess I wasn't paying attention to who was supposed to be on what's his face, Patty Mills. Like, that assignment was blown tonight by whoever that was, and that may have been D'Lo. I'm not sure if he got switched off of him at points. But obviously Patty Mills cooks us regardless of who's on our team. But he was open many times tonight. Probably, I don't know how many times he was wide open, probably like 3 or 4 probably. But that's a good point to bring up. I think it's just impressive to me because you're right. He's being switched onto these crazy offensive freaks like Kevin Durant and James Harden because they know the D'Lo of the past, and he is performing just so much better than I expect. So I just give D'Lo all the kudos in the world for that because I think it's just such a change in what we expect out of D'Lo and what we have seen out of D'Lo in the past. So, but anyways, I agree with you. I would go up to a B. Are you coming down to a C now?
Yeah.
You're coming down to a C?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore on the show. Like, why the fuck are you even having me? Like, I feel like I have an idea, and then I'm super influenced by what we discuss on the show, as well as like, the awesome chat we have. I think I'm convinced that he is way better of a player and playmaker, and we're just not seeing it all the time. And there are moments that he shines, but it's usually on the ISO side. But there are so many times in this game that we just need that playmaker, and he is that for us. Yeah. And at least he's doing that for us. He's also kind of figured out that he's the third fiddle on this team, and he's not trying to take over the games, and he's trying to get everyone else involved as much as he can. And I think it's major props for a dude who's supposed to be like just a chucker and was known as just a chucker. So
I think and we'll move on from D'Lo in a second here after this point, but we've said before, I don't know if we've said this on the show, but we've said this in private, that we think of Cat as a selfish player, but kind of in ways that you wouldn't expect. He's selfish in the way he assists. He's selfish in the way that he rebounds. He's selfish in the way that he defends. Just the things that he is doing is not for the team's greater good. I'm not saying that he doesn't want the team to succeed, but I think that there's an underlying motive that is not team driven. And with D'Lo, I don't feel that right now. I'm not 100% convinced it's not the same, but I do feel that it's a little bit more team, or at least just like friendship driven on the team. Because I think he's trying to build relationships with players to trust, for them to trust him, and for him to trust them. You know, he wants to be able to make those crazy passes that he was trying tonight to like Nas when he has three guys like on top of him, and he's trying to make like a backdoor pass to Josh Okogie at times, which of course passing to Okogie in a situation where he's got defenders around the rim is not a good choice. But I think that there's an unselfishness there, that he is trying to build that confidence, similar to how like Ricky Rubio or Ant, their relationship was last year, where Ant was like, Rubio's my guy, so he trusts him and he passes it to him. I think there's maybe something like that there, but I think I need to watch that a little bit more and think about that a little bit more as I watch. I don't know if I can go into super detailed what I exactly think, but that might be
something next time
to keep
as a teaser.
A teaser. There we go.
For more thoughts from Cameron.
But what? So I guess maybe we will go to a C tonight for D'Lo.
Let's stay at the C, and in a game where we win, he's an A because of his shots take us into the winning contention, but he didn't make his shots. So and okay. Anyways, I think 2, maybe one of, if not the player of the night, in my mind, one of the players of the night, Naz Reid, 34 minutes rather, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, because he doesn't really pass the ball, but that's okay. But I think maybe a season high 3 for 6 from 3. Maybe I'm wrong.
It has to
but
be. I don't
19,
remember.
Yeah. But 19 points in a first start of the season for him.
Only
maybe
2
at least
fouls.
one more. Yeah, that's strange. Wasn't expecting that.
0 turnovers.
Cool. Wasn't expecting that. And bloody nose, maybe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, true. Are you?
I'm ready.
Ready. Okay. You want to do the countdown?
Yeah.
All right. You go ahead.
3, 2, 1.
A. We got one finally.
Got one. Took us a while.
Yeah. I mean, this was a great game, and do these stats remind you of anybody? But really, I mean, like, we've had a lot of production from our center, who was hurt today, that is similar numbers wise to this. Obviously, he doesn't have the same pull on the court where it's like, oh, like people are rushing out to like close out on Cat for 3, where like all of his threes that he made tonight, Nas, were like wide open. People just like left him, and but he hit threes. He shot 50% tonight, and he had 20 or 19 points and 7 rebounds. You know, and without the turnovers, without the fouling. I mean, this is a pretty great night for your backup center who makes less than $1 million a year. So it's maybe he makes around $1 million. I can't exactly remember what it is. I thought it was like 900 something. But yeah, I mean, this is incredible. And somebody on Twitter said it. I don't remember, so I'm sorry if you're watching and I'm stealing this from you. But they're like, in 2023, Nas is going to get paid, because like because he's not even guaranteed his contract. This isn't even a guaranteed contract that he's on, and he is suddenly going to get paid. I'm not saying that he's going to be the starting center for some team, but he will definitely be paid, and he will be getting guaranteed money because he is valuable. He is very valuable, and tonight he showed it.
Yeah, he's getting $1.7 million a year, 200,000 flex next year. I don't know what that's all about. I wish in this game, out of literally anyone on this team to take more shots, I wish it was him. I wish he had way more aggressive bones in his body, but also we were looking for him way more than we did. You know what's really cool is that first quarter, we had him in different positions all over the court. Brooklyn had no idea what they were fucking doing out there. And it was literally because Naz Reid was making threes, taking threes, and then driving the rim and fucking dunking or ooping or getting layups. Like, they had no idea how to contest him. And he was on the corner. He was on the top of the 3-point line. He can really shoot from anywhere. And his drives are simple and effective and enforcive. They get calls on time at moments. He's not falling to the ground anymore. He's literally evolving in front of our eyes. And I wish we just went to him more, because in a game where we needed someone to step up, it wasn't Ant, it wasn't D'Lo apparently. It could have been, and it should have been, and I really wish it was Naz Reid.
Yeah, I agree. Oops, sorry, the highlights went away. I was busy. But But yeah, I mean, this was a great game from Nas, and I wish we saw more minutes from him because obviously the production that you saw tonight. So I agree with A. And I think, yeah, what is I by the way, I timed out Access Oreos. I don't know who that is. But but we don't support you coming into the chat like that. So
for you in chat.
Yes. We accept everyone else though. But anyways, yeah. Great night from him. He obviously was A1 tier. Or not A1, A tier, excuse me. I'm all thrown off. But yeah, look at these guys. Look at the top of our tier list tonight is two players that are, at the bottom of our salary chart, which is, you don't have to compare everything to salary, but at the same time, this is what you need as a Minnesota Timberwolves team to be successful. I know we didn't win tonight, but look at the top 5 people in our tier list tonight. It is all people that you wouldn't expect. Now, given Taurean Prince has been disappointing this season, but look at Leo, look at Nathan Knight, who was a pickup this offseason, look at Vando, who we just re-signed to a very friendly contract for us, and Nas Reed, who's not even on a guaranteed contract. That's insane. Also, this is a D'Lo special. I am not a D'Lo fanboy. I know I sound like it tonight, but D'Lo did this in Brooklyn. He worked with people that were kind of not unknowns, but they were not stars. He helped some of these players, Jarrett Allen when he was super young, and obviously Jarrett Allen is I've always he's crazy, and I wish we would have got him, and I was so mad when the Cavs got him because the Cavs already had 12 centers. But he just was able to do that with that Nets team. He was throwing lobs. He's just dominating, maybe not dominating the right word, but outperforming what they should be doing with them. And to see D'Lo out there with kind of those backup guys is just that's what this team needs. The Minnesota Timberwolves need these smaller contract players to perform like big off-season signings that other teams get, because we aren't going to get those big off-season signings until we start winning. And luckily this year we have started winning somewhat. We're 11-12 now, around 500, and I weirdly have confidence that we're going to stay in that realm. I still think we're going to go through runs. We may go a few games below 500. We may come back and go a little bit above. I think our predictions preseason are going to end up being very close to the accurate. Maybe not game by game basis, but I think that somewhere in the 36, 37-ish wins as a floor, and then a 43 win, Gerald, 43 win as a max, maybe 52. But yeah, no, I just, I love to see the tier list look like this, and obviously it's just our opinion, so it's not some proven fact, but obviously if you look at the top 2 players tonight, it definitely was Nas and Vando, and that is just super valuable for us. But
yeah, and unfair for them. They are the most unpaid, and they are the highest valued, in my opinion, at times in this game, on this team. And they are expected on a nightly basis to overperform, literally throw themselves to the Wolves and get as much as you can, right? It's so crazy. Whereas some guys on top echelon teams don't have to perform on a nightly basis, but only when it matters. And everyone kind of has a here, you take this game and then you take this game, right? We need them in every ounce at every game, and it's a little unfair, but also I hope and I pray that they all will get paid when their time is due. But yeah, we're so fucking lucky to have Nas Reed at a contract like this, man. It's so stupid. He went unfucking drafted. I don't know. I don't get it.
It's insane.
What the fuck are they smoking over there in the draft worlds?
Not us. We weren't smoking. Maybe we were smoking. I don't know.
We didn't draft him. We just picked him up on a flyer.
That's crazy. I guess, yeah, we were smoking too. But anyways, there's your tier list tonight. Jarrett Culver, easy Glenn Taylor tier tonight. But yeah.
Cool, man. I got nothing else. I'm really excited for Monday. I'm excited for a small weekend away from basketball. I'm not going to think about it at all. But I'm happy that we're treading around 500, and let's keep this shit going as much as we can. I hope Cat's nutties and buddies get better, and we'll have it back, because this team desperately needs someone else up there to score and take over games when we can. Well, yeah, that's it from us, I think.
I think so too. Next week will be a little interesting. So we may only have me for Wednesday, Friday, tentative right now, but we might have some guests on the show.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
So we may be having Timberwolves Daily join us while Ashwin may or may not be away. And so we might have a new face, maybe a face. I don't even know if the face will be on. We'll see. Well, I'll have to do that on my end. We'll figure out Zoom. But the games are Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. All home games, all games that I have tickets to. So
that's great.
So good news, I will be at the games, so I'll be able to tell you more about what I saw at the games. Bad news, it'll be a little bit later than tonight's episode, so like 30-ish minutes after the game. But we might have some guests, so keep an eye out for that. But as always, I appreciate all of you in chat, all of the opinions. I appreciate it. I love that we are able to keep this so respectful. I know last year we had some beef with people. Not really, but there was beef in the chat. And rest in peace, Backyard Wrestler. But you know, it's just fun to talk to you guys about this every game. And like obviously me and Ashwin love talking to each other about this, otherwise we wouldn't do the show. But you guys just make it so much fun to come and say everything.
Yeah,
you guys
makes it so much fun to come.
Yes, you guys come hard every night. As Dave Ben said. Anyways,
on that note,
that is it. We are done. And as always, intro is the outro. We will see you Monday. Have a good weekend.
Let's go to the weekend.
Let's go Wolves. See you, everybody.
Peace.